everybody, welcome back. So today I'm going to look at some of the series that I do not plan to continue, and a couple that I'm just not sure about. So let's get into it. So first of all, I'm going to do some honorable mentions of things like I may continue them or I may not. I just don't know at this point. So the first one that I may continue or I may not is the Dumplin series by Julie Murphy. And I enjoyed this book a lot. It's not the type of genre I usually read. It's a like young adult contemporary, and there's romance in it, which is not something that I would normally pick up. But I liked it a lot. But because I liked it so much, I'm afraid to pick up the next book because I don't know if it will ruin it for me or not. Next one I'm not sure if I'm going to continue is the Children of Time series by Adrian Tchainkowski. And this was about first contact with aliens. I really liked this first book. Thought it wrapped up really well. I have heard the second book is basically just the same. So I'm not sure if I want to continue that. The next one is the Arcane Ascend series by Andrew Rowe. I have to say, I wasn't really into the first book. It was just okay. But it ended pretty interesting. And now that I've been away from it for a while, I keep going, well, maybe I'd like to see what happens. But I'm not sure if I want to continue it. The next series that I'm not sure about is the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. This was the first book I ever read by her, and there were parts of it that I just was really, really annoyed by. I did not mind all the world building or anything like that. I thought that was really interesting, but the part that I didn't like was the romance. It was just very, very annoying, and because of that, I don't know if I want to continue it. The next series that I'm on the fence about is the Vicious series by V.E. Scjwab. And I really enjoyed the first book. It was about a couple of people who want to become superheroes and they figure out how, but they end up becoming supervillains. And I've just heard that the second book's not as good. So don't know if I want to continue it. So those are the ones that I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll just see what happens. So these next ones are the ones that I'm for sure not going to continue. The first one is The Brown Sisters by Talia Hibbert. And I read the first one, and this is a romance, and romance is not my thing. Every once in a while, I try to read one and see if maybe I can find one that I like or that interests me. And unfortunately, this one did not. And I think it would be a disservice to the author if I read any more of them, because it's not fair to her that I read a book, I didn't like it, I gave it a low rating because I didn't like it, and she spent a long time and worked really hard on it. So I think because of that, I just shouldn't read any more of her books. It's not like it was poorly written or anything like that, I'm just not a romance fan for the most part. Next one is the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Kerri Maniscalco. And this is a story about a girl that wants to be a coroner in the Victorian age when girls weren't allowed to be coroners. And basically I kind of didn't like the main character and how she looked at other women in this story. And the romance was annoying. This is a young adult series and I just don't want to continue it. Didn't like the first one and I thought it was boring. Next one is the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. Read the first one, didn't care that much about it. I guess the thing that annoyed me was that here the main character was, her sister's dying and in trouble, and she loves her sister a lot, but she's like, oh, I gotta get ready to go to this ball. And yeah, I didn't really care for most of it. So I don't plan to continue that. Next series I won't continue is The Maze Runner by James Dashner. And I have to say, I just didn't like his writing style. The story wasn't that compelling or interesting, and I don't know, I guess when I read the second book, I was like, what is the purpose of this whole series anyway? Because it seems like the second book in the series almost makes the first book pointless. Next one that I will not continue is The Collector by Dot Hutchinson. This is a collection of these are stories about serial killers, and I kind of feel like it's cliche, and they're always targeting women, and then I guess the women are kind of banding together that are victims of these different serial killers. It seems like it's just trying to come up with strange and interesting ways to kill people. And I mean, they weren't bad. I just don't think that it's one that I care much about. I don't think it was done as well as it could have been. Next one is the Shadow and Bone series by Leigh Bardugo. I just didn't like the book. It's a young adult fantasy. Didn't like the love story. Some of the characters were they just weren't that great. I really did enjoy the Netflix movie, and I also enjoyed Six of Crows, so I will probably read Crooked Kingdom, but for whatever reason, I just didn't like this one. Or I guess you could say it was just okay. I just don't have any desire to finish it. I'll just watch the show. Next one is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, and this is, the story about a boy who's in the future. He goes to the Oasis, which is where online virtual place where you can kind of be anything and do anything. And I really enjoyed the first book. I guess I've just heard that the second book, he completely changes who he is and becomes somebody else. So, not something I want to continue. I don't want to ruin this first book for me. And the last one that I'm not continuing is The Stormcrow by Kalyn Jepsen. And this is another young adult fantasy. So I've read several young adult fantasy, and sometimes it feels like they just use they're all the same story. They just put in different characters and different magic. And this one felt like that for me. It felt like it was just a template that they were following. Make sure you have all of this stuff in there, and then you have your young adult novel. So, didn't like it. I'm not going to continue it. So, those are the series that I don't plan to continue. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I put new videos out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thanks.